Dude, it's been so long. How have you been?
I've been phenomenal. We get to catch up. It's been like a long time I haven't seen you. So it's good. I'm looking forward to this interview right now. Or not interview, for us to chit chat.
Yeah, 100%. It's been so long. Dude, so tell everybody like who you are and what you're up to.
It's crazy. I usually say I'm a real estate investor, but before prepping for this interview, I want to say I'm an entrepreneur. I focus mainly on acquiring real estate. I do a little bit of lending, helping other investors find funding for their projects. And also, I also teach. So I teach persons who are looking to raise private capital for their projects or even buying businesses as well. So I'm wearing all the hats. So I consider myself an entrepreneur.
I love that. I feel like wow, you rattled off a lot of stuff. So you say you educate people on stuff. So what exactly are you teaching people? I know you raise capital. I know that's what you're known for. How do you do that?
And so I have a school community, and what I try to do is when I just started raising private capital, I remember I felt so clueless. And everyone was giving me surface level information. And I was like, if I ever get to the point where I fully understand about raising capital, I don't want to give people surface level info. I want to give them all the details because how my brain works, I need the details for me to fully understand and be confident in raising money. And then I invested in my education, joining masterminds and stuff like that so I could understand it. And now I understand it and I'm able to break it down to someone else that I can relate to as well. So I'm like, hey, I know what you're going through, especially like with my store. Like, I couldn't get a loan because I wasn't a US citizen. So, being able to raise funding and other persons who are in that stage that they can't get funding, they don't believe in themselves that they can raise private money. They think I don't have anyone in my network to raise private money. I'm glad that I can share that. Hey, I've been where you've been. So I want to share with you what I did to gain the confidence to raise private money for my real estate deals and even for other people.
Dude, that's freaking awesome. Dude, it's such a pet peeve, right? Because you watch people on social media, you watch like gurus and coaches talk about
Hmm.
raising private capital, and I feel like the most common thing is I'm going to teach you how to give someone double digit returns. And I feel like that is so outdated and so old. Like, what is the difference between like what you're teaching and what like most of the gurus are?
So what I basically focus and tell persons that hey, it's double digit return. It's amazing. The return is fantastic. But it's truly understanding from someone who doesn't have a clue that they can be a private money lender to show them, hey, this is an opportunity for you. But really, like if they're completely new, and this is what I've seen, a lot of people with capital, they don't know anything about real estate and they're scared. And the biggest concern is, how do you protect my money? And so I'm letting persons know this is how you can communicate to someone who's scared without using the real estate jargons to break it down so they understand what is it that they're investing in, how their money will be protected. Because a lot of times we just use, oh, you're going to get a promissory note on a mortgage. For them, honestly, they don't know what that means. And you start throwing the real estate jargons at them, they get overwhelmed. They're like, "Oh, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't think I know enough. I need to be ready." But if you're able to truly understand what is someone's goal, what is their main concern, and then explain it to them so they understand, it makes a huge difference. It's the same concept, but it's being able to understand your potential private money lender and breaking things down so they feel confident, be like, okay, I'm not an expert, but I trust you and I understand what my money will be used for and how my money will be protected.
Amazing, right? Because
Mhm.
oh my gosh, like I remember talking about private money and trying to raise my first deal. And I think my first deal was one of my coworkers. It was like
Yeah,
15 grand to like do a renovation on a property. And I think, as you evolve in the business, your capital raising skills have to improve, right?
hmm,
Because in the very beginning for me, it was like talking to like my coworkers, talking to my friends and family, like, but when you start raising bigger deals, you need to sell it in a different
really.
way, right? Especially if someone is like savvy with investing. Do you pitch decks? Like what do you do to kind of like build your credibility when you're talking to a lender?
Pitch deck. That is my go to. And I strongly believe in that because when I first did my first capital raise, a lender said yes because I had not a pitch deck, but I had a flyer. I put something together. Did I know what I was doing? No, I did not. That was the first time officially raising money from someone that I did not know. But I saw how important it was to have something in writing because it makes it easier for that lender to say yes. You or be express interest in lending because why? You were a professional, you put the information together, you make it easier for them to do due diligence. So then they're like, okay, this person seems like they know what they're doing. Let me see if they're like get more question information about the deal. Strongly recommend a pitch deck. I still do it to this day as well. But what I've learned is, and the more I keep talking to people, sometimes it's not even the pitch deck. It's who do you know? And I know that's very general, but let's break it down this way. I'm going to use this prime example. When I realized I need to start raising money from non real estate investors, I started separating myself from real estate events. I now started attending certain events within the community, joining different membership programs, committing. If I had to pay, I did, because now I'm becoming very strategic. Now I'm like, I need to find people who are not in real estate, but potentially could have capital or could introduce me to someone else. And I became very active in the Chamber of Commerce. And then from there, I started networking with people. And like Tim, I'm not going to lie, most times I go to those networking events, I'm the only person in the room doing real estate. And I'm like, where is
Yes,
everyone? But this is good for me, right? So
100%.
the more I kept showing up, people keep seeing my face, what I'm doing, then I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be an ambassador of the chamber. And because I became an ambassador of the chamber, and again, still staying involved, connecting, networking, learning, right? Someone introduced me like to another person at that event and be like, oh my God, you need to meet Keleisha. This is what she's doing. I met the person. You know what the person said? Can you believe I've been trying to get into real estate, but I did not know anyone? This,
Absolutely mind blowing.
I was like, who? Like, he was fascinated. And it wasn't even me giving the pitch. The person who introduced me, based on their understanding of what I was doing, pitched them of what my experience is and what I'm doing. And the guy was like, my wife and I have been trying to get in, but we just don't know anyone. And we just didn't want to take our funds and go put it into some random person. And to show how he was so interested, Tim, he's like, you know what? Here's my card. We really need to have coffee because I'm very interested. Way after that event, this guy, before he left, came back. He found me in the room and he's like, listen, don't forget, we need to have coffee because I'm very interested in what you're doing.
Dude.
And I
So
was like,
it's crazy that you're talking about this, right? So, how many people do you talk to, especially in the beginners, that are like, I can't raise capital?
mhm,
Or the capital that I'm raising is like 12 to 15% interest. And they are mind blown that there are people that will invest money into your project and get an 8.5%, 9%, 10% interest.
yeah,
And I tell them, well, what are you doing for networking? Oh, I'm going to real estate meetups,
no.
right? And I'm like, yo, I hate real estate investors, right? I'm one of them. You're a real estate investor. Like, we understand what our money can return, right? So, like,
Mhm.
we're always looking, and we also get educated, like, oh, you want 12 to 15% if you're in second
Yeah.
position, right? So, I love how you talk about you're a member of the Chamber of Commerce. That's something, you're the first person that said that to me. And I'm going to write that down once we get off this podcast here. But for me, how I've been raising capital is I've been going to tech startup meetups and I've been
Yes.
going to business meetups, right? And I got a
Yes.
crazy story just like yours, but a little weirder. So I was actually having lunch with this guy at the event that I was at. And I
Yeah.
probably spent about, people don't understand, but like you said, you sometimes you got to pay to get into these rooms.
Mhm.
So I think I paid like $2,000 for a day just to be in this room of like startup investors. And the guy that I was having lunch with, he invested $2 million in a energy drink company that was angel investing. So if you guys don't know out there, there's no guarantee,
Yeah.
right? Angel
It's high
investing,
risk.
yeah, you drop $1 million in there hoping that it becomes $10 million 10 years from now. And I'm like, yo, like, you just dropped $2 million. Have you ever thought about like doing real estate, like passive investing? And he's like, no. He's like, that's just not really my thing. And I was like, well, like obviously I'm here learning about venture capitalism and trying to get into business buying, but I also do a ton of real estate. And I was like, I want to learn from you. And if you're curious about learning about real estate, let's link up. Right. And that's how we became friends. And
Yeah,
like, he's friends with other rich people that also buy weird companies. And dude, I have a Rolodex of lenders, right? And
that's
they're
it.
all looking for multifamily. They're all looking for syndication type deals. So when it's time for me to actually start a fund, I
Have.
already got a list of guys and girls that probably will invest in my project,
And
you
it's
know?
crazy that you say that because it's always those people. What I've seen a lot is that people think that I need that investor. I don't have time to build that relationship. I need that money now. No, if you put the effort and start building that relationship now, yes, it may take a year, may take 2 years for that investor to invest, or they may invest right away. You never know. But at least if you commit to building that relationship now, it can be worth it in the long run because as you said, that guy you met, he now can introduce you to other people who has capital. So now he's widening your reach for capital for whenever you need it.
And they're your testimonial. Like, hey, I vouch for this guy, right? He's a good dude, right? He knows what he's talking about. And also guys, do not be a weirdo, okay? Don't go to a startup meetup and don't talk about startup investing, right? Don't go in there thinking, "Oh, Tim said go to a startup meetup," and then you go
Yeah,
in there and
no.
you say, "I'm a real estate investor. I'm a real estate investor." No, you got to play it cool. You got to say
Yeah.
that you're interested in what event that you're at,
Yes.
and then you become friends with the person, and then you leak it out when you become friends.
Hmm.
Like, "Oh, by chance, like I buy multifamily, right?"
Yeah.
I didn't know that, bro.
Yeah.
Right?
But you even said your pitch. You literally said what your pitch was.
100%.
Like,
I didn't even realize I pitched.
yeah, that was your pitch. And that's what people worry about all the time. What's your pitch? What do you say? Like what you said, I want to learn about venture capitalists. Would you be interested if you're interested in learning about passive income in real estate? Let's link up. That's your pitch.
That's it. And you're not selling anything, you're exchanging value. So, man, I love that. Yeah. So the Chamber of Commerce, that's pretty gangster. Where did you
Listen.
learn that?
So I think when I joined Amy's program and Pace, a lot of people talk about joining the Chamber of Commerce, but I haven't met anyone who actually joined the Chamber of Commerce. You know how people give you a list of places to raise capital, but people don't really go and do it. So when I moved to Tampa, I was like, this is going to be my main thing. I'm going to join, I'm going to connect with people. And I've been a part of it for over a year, and trust me, Tim, it has been phenomenal. Now I just got on a program that they have. It's called Minority Business Accelerator Program. And what that does is that it's connecting me with local business owners that I wouldn't even have access to, like to help me to grow my business and all of that. But imagine if I have someone from JP Morgan Chase or an attorney or a credit union. Imagine if they're now helping me to grow my business. They see what is it that I'm doing. They might be interested. Or if they have a client, like a private wealth client who want to get into real estate investing, like passively, they can be like, I know this person and this is what she does. Let me make an introduction.
Dude, that's crazy. That's honestly crazy. Yeah, you're literally the only person that I've known that has done that. So,
Try it. Worth it.
man, I'm about to buy a suit right now and go pretend to be a politician for a little bit.
No,
Dude, that's
try it though.
crazy.
It's
Okay,
insane.
so I know your business model is raising capital and connecting. Can you kind of tell the audience, how you started, how you decided, like, yo, this is the business model that I want to pursue?
Full disclosure, sometimes I don't know how I get up. I'm in this space. I don't have a finance background. I hate numbers. I hate numbers. I'm a people person, okay? I like dealing with people. But it just happened that I couldn't get funding for my projects traditionally. So I raised capital for my project. What happened was persons were like, hey, I'm interested in lending you money, but I don't have a deal. I didn't have a deal of my own. So then I would just reach out to people that I trust in my network to be like, hey, I have this investor who wants to get in. I'll introduce you to you. But a lot of the lenders, because they were still completely new, they would be like, Keleisha, would you still be in this deal with me? How do I know if this is a good deal? And for me personally, I'm like, if I'm making an introduction, I want to make sure that that lender is investing in a deal that makes sense. So, and I want them to understand as well the type of investment that they're putting their money in. They don't have to be an expert. So from doing that, I was like, okay, this could be a thing. I was getting paid and all that stuff. Lenders were happy. I was providing opportunities. And I was like, I kept doing more transactions. I'm like, I can make this into a business. So then I started finding systems, putting things in place as I go along, and just refining the entire business to be like, okay, now I'm positioning myself as a capital raiser. I'm providing this experience to completely new lenders who are not in the real estate space. This is a niche. And to make it even more unique, I was providing investors with gap funding, private money lenders who wanted to earn passively, who didn't have 300,000 or 500,000 to fund the entire project. They had a smaller amount and they were still able to invest and earn passively. And they understood the risk as well and knowing what they're getting themselves into. But guess what? They were comfortable. And I was like, you know what? This is what I want to provide. Not a lot of persons are doing this as well. And that's how it all came about. So it's like doing the thing, or not even doing the thing, just doing different, commit to what is it that you're doing. And then you'll be surprised, like there's a whole new model that pops out of what you're doing. And you're like, wait, I'm on to something right here. Like
Like,
commit.
wow, I can make money off this.
I can make
Interesting.
money off this.
So for the sake of the listeners, you start off with gap funding. So
Get funding.
basically, guys, and a lot of the most common gap funding loans is usually fix and flip,
Yeah.
right? And the reason why is, she said, hey, some people don't have 300 grand, but they have 30, 40 grand. So what most investors do is we borrow money from a hard money lender, right? So if you guys don't know, watch one of my videos on YouTube about what hard money is, but you borrow that hard money and usually you need to bring money down, like,
Mhm.
skin in the game and also your holding costs, right? And that's where that second investor, that private investor comes in and provides that gap funding, right?
Mhm.
Is that sound about right?
That sounds about right. It's
Perfect.
perfect. Yeah.
So that if that's something that, that interests you and you like the idea of gap funding, definitely connect with Keleisha. She'll get you squared away, right?
Okay, you squared away. Even if you're completely new to lending or even borrowing. And even I always tell like operators as well, like a lot of times, because being bringing the gap funding, it's also very risky, because what that means is if the loan is the borrower defaults or they stop paying, they cannot pay that hard money lender, and that hard money lender has to try to sell the property to recoup their money, right? Whatever is left, the person is in second, which is doing the gap funding, gets whatever is left, right? I always try to make sure that the deal itself have enough meat on the bone. So even if the property is not completely renovated, will the person second or the gap be able to pull their capital out of the deal? Or does that operator has like a property that they're using as a rental that's cash flowing, that has equity, that they could put a lien on that property that already has a ton of value as well. So we try to evaluate it as much as we can.
Yeah, I like that, right? Because that's what we had to do too. So, like, for
Mhm.
instance, like a lot of hard money lenders don't like having second liens behind it. So what we ended up doing was, since our second position liens for our gap funding is a lot smaller, we can tack that lien on another property we have. We call that cross
Cross
collateralization.
collateral.
And ultimately every lender has a different preference, right?
Mhm.
And I just did like a raising capital Zoom last Saturday to a bunch of newbies, and the biggest thing, they were like, well, what if I don't have other properties? Well, if a lender doesn't want to lend you money, unfortunately, you got to go find another lender that's willing to risk their money like that.
Yeah.
Some lenders will absolutely not lend money unless it's 100% collateralized, and I absolutely respect that. So don't like yell at them
Yeah.
if they don't want to lend money to you, right?
Or try to offer them a higher rate. Do not do that. No, no. I've seen that so many times. I'll pay you a higher interest rate. It's more than just the return. And I try to tell a lot of my investors this as well. Be like, hey, I know you have the capital. We all want to make great return. But the goal is, can you get your money out? If you see that should always be the goal. You want to get your principal and the minimum, the bare minimum standard interest out. Like it's more than just the return, because a lot of times that particular deal it can't even pay out that interest payment that they're
Oh my
proposing.
gosh, how many deals do you see? We're promising a 36%
A
return.
lot. And I was like, sometimes my underwriter was like, did they even run these numbers?
No.
Because they can't even pay that 20% return. They're already in the negative.
Yep.
And I was
Yep.
like, yeah, people don't take that into consideration because a lot of people, they just look on, okay, this is the purchase price, this is the rehab, this is how much I can sell it for. Whatever that difference is, oh, that's my profit. No, it's not.
Got holding costs.
The holding cost, which is
Yeah.
if you're taking a hard money loan, you have monthly interest. So if you are taking that loan for 6 months, whatever that monthly interest is, times six, what is your taxes and your insurance? You don't know. Go on Zillow, get an estimate to see what that is. Calculate that. Your interest that you're going to pay to the gap lender, let's use a standard 12% annualized. Work that out. If you're borrowing the money for 7 months, find that 7 months interest, include that in your holding cost. Find what is my closing cost. There's a closing cost to buy. That is a non-negotiable. Average 1 to 2.5%. It
On both
varies
sides.
on both sides too.
Yep.
And
On both
those
sides.
are like non-negotiables. I tell people that all the time. Find out your if you calculate your non-negotiables, like those costs, whatever is left, if you have like a good 40, 50,000 spread, then you're like, okay, this could be a solid deal. Now let me dig deeper into this deal to see if it makes sense or for me buying that property.
No, it makes perfect sense. Okay, so if you were a brand new investor
Hmm.
and you're trying to raise your first $30,000,
Yes.
what would you do?
And I would actually say your first 100,000. I actually just did a whole Zoomer about this too, like how to raise your first 100,000. And someone in the group in our community was like, "Oh my God, I raised 100,000 because I just made a post on social media." I was like, "I told
It's
you,
real.
I told you." And it was someone from their high school or college that reached out to them, and she's like, "Keleisha, it was that easy." I'm like, "It is." But first, I would say get it out of your brain, throw it out. I don't have anyone in my network, or I don't know an attorney or a lawyer or whoever that is. Get it out of your brain. Throw it out away. Think about it where if you want to raise $100,000, a lot of us are on Facebook. We have friends from college, school, coworkers. Simply just make a video. Hey guys, I am now in real estate. I'm looking to buy a property and I'm potentially going to need anywhere between 50 to 100,000, and I'm willing to pay you interest on it where you become the bank. If this is something that you'd be interested in doing, comment below or send me a message. That's one easy step. It doesn't cost you anything. You record that video. You take that same video. We talked about this earlier, Tim. You take that same video, save it from your Facebook. If you're on Instagram, go post it in your story, go post it on your feed. That's it. You also have family members, friends, people, and coworkers. When you're at work, tell people like what you're looking to do. What I try to be is very intentional. When everyone was like, "What have you been up to?" I'm like, "Nah, I've been chilling on my couch. I've been hanging." No, what have you been up to? I've actually been looking into real estate. I've been doing it quite some time, doing some research, and now I'm looking to buy my first property, and I'm looking for a partner. So if you know anyone who is capital who want to invest, let me know. That's it.
Dude, the basics. Just tell everybody what you're doing,
Just
first
tell
off.
everybody.
Number two, like, you don't need to be like a super big influencer.
No.
Unfortunately, that's the route I chose. I converted Instagram, Facebook, everything in strictly real estate. And, but the benefits of that is literally everybody that knows me literally compares me to real estate guy, right? I get people from high school, college, work. Every single body's like, bro, what's up with your real estate stuff, man? Like, or
Mhm.
I got a question. Now,
Yeah.
my number one thing is, how do I get started in real estate investing? How many times do you get that question,
Yeah. A
right?
lot. A lot.
There's three questions you can ask all your friends that send you a DM or text message. You say, cool, let's text you these three things real quick, and then you can kind of decide from there.
Hmm.
One, do you have time?
Yeah.
So what does time mean? Do you have time to call sellers? Like if you're a wholesaler, do you have time to call sellers? Do you have time to call investors? Do you
Hmm.
have time to do your own deals? Two,
Yeah.
do you have experience that I'm missing? If you're a contractor or you have some sort of business acumen where maybe we can partner on something, that's a way to get in. And if you don't have any of those first two, the last third is, do you have any money to invest? Right. And then if they have money to invest, cool. Are you interested in getting on a call with me? Let's get on a call. You show them your credibility packet, and we can talk about that too. But you show them your credibility packet, show them what projects you've been doing. But if you've been posting on social media, they already know what
There's
you're
no.
doing.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
they already hit you up because they think you're the expert already.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. I'm glad you brought up those 3 points because this is what I tell people. I ask them these questions as well, like, especially if someone's want to be cocky, to be like, why should I give you my money? I'm like, first of all, sir, don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted. Why do you want to lend? Why do you want to lend the money? Why are we having this conversation? Because I just want to have an additional stream of income. Okay. Do you have a 9 to 5? I do. Do you love your job? I do. So, one, you don't have the time to go find your own deals. Have you ever done real estate before? No. Do you know anyone who's doing real estate? No. Okay, fine. You don't have the experience either. I have the experience. I have the time. I'm doing this full time. Your partnership is the capital.
Correct.
And when you break that on, you kind of like shut them up a little bit, but not, you're not saying it cocky or anything. You're saying it confidently because you also have value in that. Even as newbies, you have that value as well. You have the time. You're building the experience. Even if you're completely new, you're taking time, you're watching this interview, you're learning about raising capital, you're learning about real estate investing. That person with the capital hasn't even done that as yet. You have a network of people that you can reach out to ask questions if you feel stuck. You're just lacking the money.
100%. Right. Like, because the thing is, like, even if you don't have a deal under your belt,
Mm-hmm.
you have foundational knowledge that people lack. And if, let's say, someone like, let's say that I wanted to invest in your project and you haven't had a deal and I'm like, yo, I got 30 grand, but you personally, you know somebody or other people that are real estate investors, right? You can connect. That's exactly what she was doing. She was connecting operators to investors,
Yeah.
and then you get paid a fee. So that's like what, a connector business? I've
A
never done a
connector.
connector business, right?
I call it a consultant business or a matchmaker. We're bridging the gap. So we're bringing the deal together. We're bringing the opportunities together. So we're doing that matchmaking type of thing.
Man, I'm trying to come up with a name like Cupid Lending or something.
Oh,
I don't know.
I love that.
I
I
don't
love the
know.
Cupid Lending.
Maybe I should do that. No, no, I'm not. I'm not a lender,
No,
man.
it's crazy. Like
Yeah,
but you can also connect, and that's what. The more I get into it, I'm telling people like, hey, don't overthink it. Because Tim, you can also do consulting or connecting because what? You know an investor, you know a lender, you bridge the gap. You're just making an introduction. That is it. That's just it, just an introduction.
dude. You gonna do some referral fees or what?
Honey, I do it all the time. I'm doing one right now today. Was working on a deal and I'm like, I'm gonna help this person. I'm gonna help her find funding. And I finally focused on it today. And I simply send a text to another lender of mine. And I just said, hey, I know your funds are tied up right now, but do you know anyone that would be interested in doing this? And then she was like, yeah,
Oh
I
my
have
gosh.
someone. That's it. Literally, she's like, yeah, I know someone, Keleisha. And I'm just gonna pay them a referral fee. And when I told her what I'm gonna pay her for a referral fee, she was like, "Oh."
Now she's like, oh my god, I'm gonna do this more often.
I've done it so many times. I had another lender as well where he wanted to fund another opportunity that I had, and his funds didn't come back in time. And he was like, Keleisha, when do you need the money? And I was like in 2 days. He's like, you know what? Let me reach out to my brother. Let me reach out to my mom. And I was like, holy snap.
You're like,
And
let's
just by
go.
him doing that, like they didn't invest, but then they invest in future deals.
Dang, it's like that. And guys, I do want to stress this so bad, right? Like you don't get money off the first time you talk to somebody. Like if you're a wholesaler, right? And I know a lot of people that listen to my channel is wholesale. You follow up with sellers like 6, 7, 8 times. It's the
Hmm.
same thing with lenders. Like, hey
Yeah.
bro, like how you doing? how's life? I got a deal coming up. Are you interested? Like you got to be their friend. You know what I mean? Like you can't just be 100% transactional.
That, and I'm glad you brought that up too, because it's, as you said, it's, you never close on the first call. But if they ask, like, so what do you have now? I'm interested. Then you can pitch that deal that you have. But if you don't, just try to understand that person. Like, first of all, why are they having that conversation with you? What is their end goal? And you make notes and you try to guide them. You educate them based on what you know. If they ask you a question, don't try to make up something right off the bat. Just say, hey, I think I know the answer to that, but I'm not sure. Let me double check or find out and I'll get back to you.
Amazing. So I do want to ask this one question before we segue into like kind of wrapping it up.
Yeah.
Where can people find resources? I know you got the school community, right? So shout that out. But what other resources are there? Do you recommend people going out there? Either it's free or not free.
I do it. There's a ton of free resources on my YouTube, other interviews that I've done, just me breaking down the private money process, how to get access to past deals that I've done, just so you can see like pitch decks as well. So everything, my YouTube, my socials is always my full name, Keleisha Carter. So you can find all of that as well. And if you are like, you want to get more into it, you want to join my weekly, I do weekly Zoom calls, like just general Q&As as well. That's where you join the school community, the free one, and you hop in and you ask your questions. Like, I'm not charging you. You just come into the community, you check what other persons are doing, see the questions that they're asking. Most times I am the one answering those questions, but at least you can join the live Q&As as well and ask your questions.
I freaking love that. No, I appreciate you sparing some time out of your busy schedule.
Sure.
There's a big thing that I like to, kind of showcase like what you're working on. Like, so what are you working on actively? You've already mentioned where people can find you,
Mhm.
but what are you working on? And if you need any help with your business,
I'm working on trying to get my YouTube to be up and cool like Tim, okay?
mine needs some work. So mine still needs some work, but it's definitely a work
No.
in progress.
That's definitely the main thing. Like, just seeing you sharing more on YouTube as well. Because the crazy thing is, I have a ton of content. I have really long form videos that I don't even post it on YouTube, because you guys might be wondering, like thinking, that's a lie, Keleisha. I want the video to be perfect. I want video editing and I want all that fancy stuff. And I was like, I don't have the time and I want to do it myself because I'm cheap and I don't want to pay for it. But talking to Tim and seeing Tim videos, I'm like, you know what? Girl, just go post the
Just
video.
post your value, right? And this is a message to everybody. Like, even if you've done one real estate deal,
Yeah.
or talk to an agent. Let's say you never close a deal and you talk to agents and you film yourself. Put it out there.
Yeah.
It's value, right? You
Yeah.
have something that people don't have. And shoot, if you posted more stuff on your YouTube, I'd be learning so much more about private money. So
Listen.
I'm selfish, so please start posting.
No, I've been trying to do this thing where of having like case studies. I had this whole plan. I'm like, all the deeds that I've done, I'm just gonna do a case study, drop it on my YouTube. But again, I'm like, I don't want to be in front of the camera and do all. I gotta do my hair and face. But listen, I think that's gonna be my commitment. I'm going to record those videos. So that's what I'm working on right now, is just trying to put more of the content that I have hidden out there for more people to learn, and for more people to get out of their comfort zone thinking that, oh, I don't have a wide range of network to raise private money. And I just want to keep educating and growing my audience of letting people know it is possible to raise 100,000 for the first time. It's completely possible. And I think that will be the main thing that I'm working on, especially going into 2025, is just how can I increase my reach and let persons know you can raise 100,000 for the first time. It's not impossible.
No, not at all, right? Not at all. And when I raised my first 100K, I was very shocked too, right? Like it's just, and that was completely organic off my Instagram.
Mhm.
So what you talk about with using social media to raise capital is so freaking true, right? I think once you get into like the millions, it becomes more of like
It's
your
different.
actual network. But
Yeah.
if you're raising money for your residential family deals and stuff like that, man, it's all out there in your actual network. And guys, by the way, I didn't mention this, but you guys have to check her out on her Bigger Pockets podcast episode. That's how
That's how
we
we connected.
originally met. Yeah, a long time ago. So I think it's been about a year since both
Here.
our episodes popped up.
Yeah. It's
So
like how we met. But that's dope. That's dope.
I know
That's
it's been a
dope.
while.
Yeah.
So guys, check out her podcast. I'm gonna link it down in the description. But Keleisha, thank you so much for coming on today. I had so much fun catching up with you.
This is good. Thanks for having me. It's always like good to just share more about this great opportunity of raising capital. We all get very intimidated by gurus. I honestly do not consider myself a guru. I am still learning. And that's what I always share with people like, hey, this is what I learned today. This is how I screwed up. And this is what I'm going through. And I'm trying to fix it. So just sharing the journey. People like the journey. They like being involved in the journey to be like, okay, this is not what it all meant out to be. Real estate is fantastic. It can be, but it really has like downside to it. And if we set the expectation that these are the downside, but this is how you can do to navigate it, I think that will give people so much more confidence to get into it and not like be disappointed once they get in because they expect to make millions of dollars in the first year or whatever it is.
I know, I know. Everyone thinks so. I mean, social media. I know we're going on another tangent, but social media sells the idea that you can
Yeah.
get rich quick, and it's never like that. And I think that if us and other influencers online or whatever tells you the truth, like, hey, yeah, you can make a great living off what we do, and we're both extremely blessed. But there is a lot of things that happen on the backside that's not good, right? Like I've lost money on deals, but I don't really post it too much on social media, right? But that does happen. I've lost money on flips. I've lost money on lending. That's why I don't lend
London.
anymore. I'm not a lender, right? I like to buy stuff, but yeah, ultimately it's not a get rich quick scheme, and it's a process. It's a journey. It's a
Yeah,
journey.
it is. It truly is. But it will be worth it. Like honestly, it will be worth it. And the opportunities that comes out of it, it's phenomenal.
My gosh, we can rant about this all day, but I know, right? We could literally rant like so many things, right? Like good friends, all good connections, all that stuff.